Call the meeting of the Maple Run Unified School District Board of Directors to order. Today is September 17th, 2025 at 6 p.m. and we are at Fairfield Central School Library. I'd like to thank Fairfield for hosting our school board meeting. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is agenda review. I'm asking if there are any revisions requested to this agenda. Anyone? Hearing none, agenda is accepted without objection. Item number 3 is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the visitors section. Are there any persons in the room that wish to address the board? I'm hearing none.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anyone here, Nelda.
And the people online, if they wish to address the board, they would need to type in their name and their town of residence in the comment section. And I'm seeing none. So
Nobody has identified to speak, so
we're going to move on then to the consent agenda. And there are 3 items, 2 minutes, media packet, and the board annual work plan. Anyone want to pull any of those items out for discussion? Hearing none, the consent agenda is accepted without objection. Next item is reports to the board. First report to the board is the student board representative report. And I see Jacoby, and I think he has someone next to him.
Yeah, thank you everybody. First, I would just like to welcome a new SUC member as of last spring, and this is their first board meeting, so I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Angel, Angel Showman. I'm a sophomore, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
then I don't know if it would be helpful if everybody maybe wants to say their name around the horseshoe.
Jessica Frost. Carly Gunderson.
Charlie Brooks.
hi Angel. Okay.
Jack McCarthy. Welcome.
Suzanne Kenyon, welcome. Sorry, Jack.
That's right.
Brienne King, business manager.
Aaron Smith, executive assistant and board secretary.
Megan Groovy, assistant superintendent.
Thank you. So
And Nilda Ganella, French board chair.
And Amanda Juro.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. Yeah, so the Student Voice Committee is getting back into our project planning for this year, so we've been kind of doing some work with meeting in our goals group. So we have a group for each of the 5 district goals. And Angel and I are actually on the same group, and so I'm gonna let him kind of share a little bit about what we've been working on.
So currently we've been working on trying to get Jeff Benet to get resources and handouts for the students for Indigenous Peoples Day. He is the leader of the... He is an Abenaki elder. And we thought it would be helpful for the students to be educated and given more information on the Abenaki people, Indigenous tribes, why we celebrate it.
Yeah, and we plan to do that during like our advisory time on Monday, so that the reason we're in school is to have some education around what Indigenous people say is, and we think that including somebody from the Abenaki tribe who is, you know, in our community, kind of the land that we live on, so kind of including them in that process would be nice.
Thank you. Anything else? No? Any questions for Jacoby or Hazel? Okay, no questions. I'm going to move on to the other report from the board, which is the rigorous academics and expectation. You have that as attachment 6B. Megan Gruby and Alexis Hoyt will be presenting on this topic.
Alright. You ready? And we do have some additional guests who, you have a little bit of time, but if you want to come forward, you can.
This one is this time, and ours is like last. Basically,
Alright. So, good evening, everybody. This report is looking at our first strategic plan goal of rigorous academics and expectations. We report out regularly to you around these strategic plan goals so that we can share our successes and our next steps, and so that you can hear about the good work that's happening in our schools. As a reminder, the rigorous academics and expectations goal is that all students will feel challenged and supported to excel in traditional and non-traditional learning opportunities based on their individual needs and strengths. And our theory of action is if we define the curriculum with high standards for all students, focus on both content and transferable skills, clearly report on student progress to students and families, ensure high quality instruction, then students will feel challenged and supported to excel in their learning opportunities. And so that's what we're striving for. Most of the information that's in here is information that you've seen in the spring. We're currently in a place where we are doing our assessments, so we don't have updated data. So a lot of this will sort of feel a little bit like review things that you've already heard at the end of the school year. So looking at action steps, resources needed, and evidence, this probably looks familiar to anybody who has seen this report recently and been talking about this goal. But you all identified that there were several action steps, such as maintaining high quality staff, developing a district vision and definition of high expectations with high supports. You've identified together that we needed continuous professional development, staff for mentoring and coaching, and access to flexible pathways, and we've been working on that. And then I've also been reporting out on some of the evidence and the measures that we are looking at to make sure that we are achieving the goal as set forth by the board. So a little bit of a reminder, and some of this again is laying the foundation for what you're going to see us report out, and a reminder of what those metrics are and how we measure those. So these are the major bullet points that allow us to know whether or not we're on track. So we're looking for a 95% positive response rate on professional learning evaluation indicators, and we do that through staff feedback surveys. We're looking for 70% of students on track for attendance, and that means 9 or fewer absences for the school year. And we use a system called PowerSchool to help us measure that. We look for 85% of our students to be on track for behaviors, which means 4 or fewer major referrals for the year. And we use a platform called Panorama to collect and analyze that data. We're looking for and striving for and very close to 50% of all students on grade level in literacy, probably something that this year we're going to look at raising that expectation because we're doing some really great work there. And we use something called the M-Class assessment, as well as IXL to measure student growth and progress there. We're looking for 50% of students on grade level in math. New this year is the STAR assessment. You heard about some of the issues that we had with our former assessment. We've been rolling out the STAR assessment, getting to know it this year. And we also look at the VT cap to be able to, which is our state assessment, to be able to determine progress for our students in math. We're also looking at an SEL survey and looking for 80% of our students to be responding positively on the questions, do you have a teacher or other adult from school who you can count on to help you? And is there a teacher at school who helps you feel safe in pre-K and K? We also look at data sources such as the minimum number of instructional minutes, whether or not we're meeting those in all of our classrooms, and schedules for PLCs, or professional learning communities, because we know that all of these different factors contribute to rigorous academics and expectations. Any questions on all of those data sources? Okay. So as a reminder, in the spring, this kind of is setting up our dashboard that you are familiar with, where we are kind of tracking where we are in achieving these goals and achieving these metrics. So in spring of 2025, this is where we were with regards to the goals and benchmarks that we set. As you can see, we still have some way to go with attendance. With behavior, we are exceeding our metric there, which is really exciting. Literacy, you can see that we're very, very close, K through 5, and getting there with 6 through 12. And if you notice in the parentheses, there's the plus 1.35 and plus 0.88. That's indicating the growth, and I think you heard about that a little bit last year. We'll talk more about growth, but it's really showing that even our students who are not yet at that proficient level, we're growing students at a rate that exceeds 1 year of growth for K-5 and very close in 6 through 12. Math, though the data was not quite what folks were expecting, we still did see some phenomenal growth in our students, and we're going to continue to look at that in our assessments, our new math assessment. And with SEL, we are hitting that percentage or exceeding that percentage, and we want to continue to see growth there as well. So throughout the year, once we have done our SEL survey, our assessments are complete, we'll be able to share out how we're doing towards these metrics and continue to look at the growth of our students as well as overall proficiency. Any questions? Yeah.
I just have a quick question. I don't remember, so would, like, for example, the SEL, is that out of anybody that takes the survey, or is that out of the whole entire district? And then just the people that respond favorably?
Yeah, it's out of the folks who take the survey.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because that'd be a really good number if it was everybody. I mean, it still is a really good number, but I just didn't know. Wanted to confirm.
Yeah, we have a very high response rate, so our response rate district-wide usually hovers around 80%.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty impressive response rate, but yeah, it's not. There's multiple. We usually keep it open also for a whole week, so we catch kids that might be absent on a certain day or in a certain class, but we do have students who will refuse to take the survey.
And so in terms of getting the survey disseminated, is that like a link that they go to voluntarily?
So the teachers do it.
Okay, so like in class, the teachers
Yes. So
take
the
the survey?
teachers dedicate, our teachers are phenomenal and really invest the time to give kids to complete the SEL survey whenever it goes live. So it looks different in every building, but we open it for a whole week. And then we give the teachers the instructions, all of the student access codes, the link to the survey, and they have time to prep the kids. And then they have allotted scheduled time where they offer it, and they support certain kids who might need the survey read to them, or they might have a one-on-one that sits down and explains what a word means in a different way. So kids that need additional support get that in the classroom.
So theoretically, the only way that they would miss that survey is if they're out that entire week or they choose not to take it, okay.
I just had a comment about attendance, and I wish I had more details on this, and you might know more than I do, but the Missisquoi Valley is partnering with Monarch Maples, the pediatricians in town, and they're doing some sort of referral when kids hit a certain number of absences, and then they're offering, I don't know what the services are, but some sort of intervention. And it's a pilot this year, so we might just want to keep our eye on it and see if it impacts their attendance and if they have the bandwidth to bring in another district. I don't know, but
Whoop. Was there something?
No, I was just saying great.
Oh, okay. One of the things that is new, a new view for you potentially, is I've been working with our literacy provider, our literacy assessment provider, to talk a little bit about growth as well. And as growth is an indicator of, are we moving kids and are we moving them towards proficiency? So she shared with me this growth report, and this is just from last year's results, talking about how each group of students, so if they scored, if you're just looking at the light blue, if they scored well below benchmark, how much did that cohort of students grow? If they scored in below benchmark, how much did that cohort of students grow? At benchmark, how much did that cohort? And above benchmark, how did that cohort? And she explained to me that 60% growth is the national norm, or what we would be shooting for. And so there's a lot of celebrations here in this data that for most of our grade levels and most of our categories of where students were placed, we're placing on the initial assessment, we are very, very close or exceeding the national norm for growth. Of course, there are places where we're not seeing that, and we need to continue to look at our systems, which is exactly what we're doing and reporting out on, so that we can make sure that all students all student cohorts are meeting or exceeding those growth benchmarks, because that will ultimately translate into increased proficiency. So just wanted to give you that little bit, a different view of something. Yeah.
So the 60% growth, is that 60% of 1 year's or one grade level's growth, or what's the percentage measuring?
That is a really good question, and I would have to come back to you on that because I'm still learning this assessment and what everything means.
Yeah, that's what my question was too. Okay.
I'm just writing that down.
You're fine.
That was a great question. So for our math assessment, we don't have any data to present right now because we don't have anything to look back to since we have a new assessment. We have a new assessment called STAR Math, and it's provided by Renaissance Learning. Just a couple of things to keep in mind or to know about the math assessment, and we'll review this once we're looking at the data. This is a baseline year for us. We're getting to know the assessment. We're getting to know how to administer the assessment and read the results. So we're going to be able to use this data to kind of compare our growth over time moving forward. It's a progressive assessment, which I know you've heard about, but as a reminder, the expectations for proficiency shift throughout the school year. So while students might be proficient in the beginning of the school year, that benchmark will shift, and if they are not growing, they might not stay proficient, or a student who's proficient and growing adequately is going to stay in that proficient bucket. And we'll talk way more about this when we actually have the data in front of us and can give some examples.
I know the last assessment we used was proficiency from like kindergarten above. Is this one just like grade level, like third grade and fourth grade? Is that this one?
That's a great question. So what you're talking about is it is an adaptive assessment, and so this is also an adaptive assessment. So a student, when they enter the test, they are given a grade level question, and based on their answer, it will either adapt up or down in grade level content and then out of grade level content until they get to their basically just right level. And the test feels like it has, well, within 34 questions, it can pretty much determine what are the skills that the student has relative to grade level expectations, what are their next instructional steps, and give that data to the teachers.
So we'll be able to see what gaps the student may have?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.
And classes, yeah, there's some good data coming out. Again, we're still getting to know it, but some of the charts are making me excited. So we will be able to look at some growth reports in the winter and the spring. For the fall, we can only report out on where students are placing. But what we were just talking about, the teacher level reports are really looking exciting and very user friendly. But we'll continue again to get to know them and to get to use them and see how we can leverage them in continuing student growth. This is the exciting part.
So there were a lot of people that wanted to come tonight. Some of them just couldn't because of schedules. But like Megan was saying, we're taking a little bit of a different approach in this board meeting and are gonna give you more qualitative data and more kind of testimonial updates because we haven't pulled our fall data yet. So we don't have anything to give you. Like we've talked about in past board meetings, especially for SEL, and behavior, it is not best practice to pull that type of data in the first 6 weeks of school. So we always like to wait until at least weeks 6, 7, and 8. So you will get it. We're just not that deep into I think it's the first week of October is when our SEL survey is gonna go live. So all of these folks here, their voice is far more important than mine, so I'll try to make my section super quick. But if you go to the next slide, there's a lot of questions still around like Spring Academy because it's our newest alternative program, again, for grades 5 through 8. So we did a little student and staff interview to get some testimonials from them. And I just wanted to share a couple of highlights with the board this evening. I do not expect that you can read that. And my approach is usually to not read the slides to you, but this is pretty powerful stuff, so just bear with me. So some of the student highlights are something the program can do better is not ask so many questions and go on more field trips. Before coming here, school was bad. Since joining, I feel pretty good and I have gotten better at math. This is a student who the struggles in math were very, very significant. So for them to acknowledge math is huge. The best thing about this program is everyone. Something I would tell another student is this school is the best. Since joining, I feel safe. I did not feel safe before. My goal is to watch this program grow, expand, get better, and help more people. And these are actual quotes from our students. They were not scripted by our kids. The best thing about this program is the calming effect, nice teachers, and smaller classes. I am more confident advocating for myself. And since joining, I feel like I want to come to school. My goal is to get into the tech center. So those are just some of the highlights from students. A lot of feedback around what we can do better is more field trips and go outside and play more, which is valid. Staff, also we are now fully staffed. So we started the year completely staffed, which was not the case last year. We were significantly short-staffed the entire time we were open, so that is very exciting. So some of those highlights, I believe this program prepares students for healthy and meaningful academic growth. I would tell other educators that we're still finding our feet, but all the pieces are there. The biggest change I notice in students is that they want to come to school. This program has made me feel more hopeful about the future of our outplaced students' lives. My hope is that Spring Academy continues to grow while holding on to the close-knit, student-centered environment that makes it so special. And then the question of what stands out about working in this program, the people. The kids, of course, but also the adults. We have a team that engages in profound acts of compassion for students who have and do struggle engaging in positive behaviors that most people are fortunate enough to be able to take for granted. We have a group of caring, engaged problem solvers. Before I start crying, we'll go to the next slide. It's not all gonna be about Spring Academy. We also outreach to all of our schools and wanted to get some feedback from our faculty that are in the trenches on the front lines every day for what they feel they're seeing and noticing as the impact of our social emotional learning and the restorative practices that we've done over the last couple of years. So we have a teacher at SATEC that shared last year. I had the opportunity to have a restorative practice circle modeled in my classroom. I was interested because we continue to see increased SEL needs in our students each year, and I'm always looking for ways to help them develop their skills. It was powerful for me to be able to sit outside the group and learn rather than just being handed another curriculum to figure out on my own. I knew I wanted to continue the work this year, and a colleague and I have set this as our professional goal for the year. So again, we're starting to see SEL and restorative practices become embedded into our supervision and evaluation system, and professionals identifying that as goals for themselves. And we took our field video. A teacher at BFA, who may or may not be in. Do you want to read yours?
Sure. RP and SEL materials are now embedded in my daily agenda or lesson plan that each student has access to and follows for class. My students are very familiar with RP and SEL language.
Anything you want to add?
This works, folks. It may be a slower start, but I developed a learning community in my classroom that gets more done and is more motivated because of RP and SEL. The joining of those two things, I lived that with them, and it works. So I know other people are doing it too. Caitlin Kerman and some others up in my school are also doing it very proactively, and it makes a difference. I'll just say that.
I'm gonna go to the next slide and I'll come back. I'm sorry.
No,
For your
it's
patience.
fine.
There was feedback at BFA from students. So some of the students shared around having restorative practices specifically embedded into their classrooms from their teachers. Everyone felt more comfortable talking about stuff. I wish we did these types of things more. We could all share what our personal strengths and our opinions were. We're talking about like in class in a comfortable, safe way. I remembered what we learned more than just having normal conversations or reading and watching videos. A quote from a support staff and a union representative, the ability to adapt to a group of people who for some you've never met. This is in reference to our new instructional coach in RP and SEL, was professional and courteous. The subject matter was a priority for our group, and ideas were brought while also listening and getting a feel of our wants and needs. I appreciate the collaboration time we were able to have as a team. Looking forward to continued growth and development that can be offered throughout the district. Then the last one, a special educator and a program leader. The role of the RP and SEL instructional coach has been refreshing. She doesn't arrive with predetermined outcomes. Instead, she listens carefully, keeps an open mind, and respects what's already working. She is skilled at facilitating difficult conversations, even when some participants aren't fully on board. And she understands her role and supports us in ways that feel both meaningful and practical. And then it goes on and on. So we actually got a ton of testimonials from staff. I was told to be mindful of my time and not keep you here until Friday. So I couldn't include them all, but happy to share them with you in a different format if you'd like. And then if you go back, I'm gonna turn it over to Fairfield to close us out.
Sure. Well, welcome to our school. And so I'm Kelsey Mallow, if I haven't met you yet, and Stacy Tully is here, she's the SEL coordinator. And so I've really seen Fairfield evolve over the last 3 years, and it's been something really special. And Keely did an incredible job of capturing our story. So I'm not really gonna go on and share. I really want Keely to be able to share in what she did with the students here.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm just going to give you a little background about where I came from before we did this video, and then I'll talk a little bit about what the video is about. So for the past 4 years, I've led a video production project-based enrichment program called What's Up Fairfield. It started as a way to challenge students during our intervention block who were performing well above grade level expectations in language arts. And video production felt like the perfect fit as it's engaging, collaborative, and connects with students of all ages. So we began with simple projects like filming interviews and covering school events like in a news report style. Then we filmed our first feature film called Maple Fever. If you don't know it, you should look it up. It's pretty great. We entered into the St. Albans Northwest Nightmares Film Festival, and we won the Judges' Choice Award. So last year, What's Up Fairfield took on a different type of project. Jessica Villeneuve from Starling Collaborative asked us to create a documentary about our new restorative practices approach, the zone. So while the students were excited to highlight the zone, they also wanted to celebrate all the things we do here. So that decision grew into a year-long project that started in late October and finished in June. By the skin of our teeth, we finished in June. What's remarkable is that all the students took on this entire project alongside the regular studies. So they worked hard and they stayed committed and created something entirely on their own. It was written, filmed, directed, narrated, and edited by them. So I want to take a moment to recognize them, the student filmmakers who are now freshmen at BFA, Sarah Golden, Emmeline Boomhauer, Quincy Wallen, and Adam Persons. And Adam, in particular, he took a lot on. He edited the whole film and made it public on YouTube. A lot of work. So the video is like 25 minutes, so I'm not going to show it all right now. But I picked two clips where you could see our school in action and the kids talking about what we do here. So the first one features our younger students talking about morning meetings, which is the foundation of the more formal circles that we hold in the upper grades. So in 7th and 8th grade, we meet once a week for a formal circle to discuss SEL topics. But then we also meet, which is new this year, 3 times a week for informal check-ins. And our circle time, and I will admit, it was a little bit intimidating for me, thinking how am I going to manage this circle and keep it engaging. But now it's turned into one of my favorite parts of the day, because we get to sit, we get to pause, and we just get to chat. And you don't really get to do that with kids often, just to chat. So it's great. So, and then the second clip we'll show is just like the highlighting of our hopes, what we have for every student at Fairfield.
What do you do during your morning meetings?
So what we do is sit in a circle and we pass sticks around and say good morning to each other.
Morning meeting, we pass around sticks and we say good morning to whoever we pick. And we have a little chick calendar to see how big our chick is.
We gather around in a circle and talk about what we've done over the weekends or play a game.
Our class gets together and we get in a circle and share about our weekend and play games. At morning meetings, we share about the weekend and we play games and we do fist bumps in the morning or we do high fives. And it's really fun to see what people share, what they did over the weekend.
What do you like best about your morning meetings?
My favorite part about morning meeting is flipping our baby chicks. I like opening our baby chicks, how many days we have of school, and we have our question of our day. My favorite part about morning meetings has to be listening to what other people did over the weekends, because it might be different to what you did.
I like playing the games in the morning meeting. It helps us bond in our morning meetings and community time.
What I like best about morning meetings is I like it how we all get together and we can just share what we did over the weekend and we can just play games together and share about everything.
Each classroom has our respect agreements displayed clearly for all.
Set that all up. They came up with all the questions and everything. Like it was the filming, the picking the location. It's after that interview. Right there. No.
Majors, and this past February we had 45. which is a big success.
Here at Fairfield Center School, with the supports that we have put in place, we hope that our students leave us with inquiring minds, compassionate hearts, creative expression, healthy lives, and service to the community so that all can learn, develop, achieve, and succeed.
Nice job.
Thanks. So that first video, I could not hear anything. Did you all have sound?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you, Amanda?
Not for the first half, the second half I could.
It is available on Fairfield Media, our YouTube channel, so.
Okay, thank you.
There's one more slide.
Oh,
just that Polly wanted us to put in,
That's right, yes.
and then we'll be done. Sorry, Will.
Apologize to me. It's all good to me. It's great stuff.
Just as you know, BFA rolled out no cell phone, no wearable, new expectations this year, which is a really big change for students and families. So Polly and the admin team just wanted to give you a quick update on how that seems to be going so far. So some quotes they got from staff. The culture at BFA is the best I've seen in over 10 years. Students are engaging with us and significantly less distracted. Students are walking in the hallway with their heads up and actually saying hi to each other. I didn't know how much I missed this. And then some quotes from students are, at first I thought it was going to be awful, but it actually isn't that bad. I am way more focused in class. The only time I miss it is in places like lunch. And my screen time cut in half. I was shocked how much I must have been on it at school. And we obviously have BFA students here who can also speak to the change. But that's it. Just wanted to share that with you.
Do you want to speak to the
Just to wrap up a little bit, I flipped back to the action steps, resources needed, and evidence to measure success. And as Alexis was sharing these stories, if you were looking at that too, you hopefully could kind of tick some of those boxes as we were talking about flexible pathways, talking about staff additions, talking about the professional development that has happened and seeing those results in students. It's something that you can't necessarily see in a quantitative measure, and so it's really lovely to be able to share those with you all. And those are only small little snippets of what we see and experience every single day.
Were you two going to show or share any perspectives or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a positive thing. I'm definitely more productive during my senior study hall. I do miss my Apple Watch, and I do not miss using the Chromebook, but it's definitely been an adjustment, but the phone is a positive thing for sure.
I would just say the change in we had a discussion as a board at the beginning of last month about what changes you wanted to see in the report. So that was some of what brought this about. So thank you for speaking up as a board.
Yeah, I also think it's super positive to see more anecdotal data.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of something that I think, like, as a district, if we're moving in a direction for sort of practice in SEL, our data presentation should reflect that, and does reflect that so far really well.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions for Megan, Alexis, and company? item is agenda item 7, old business, and it is the Vermont Education System Reform Status and Update. And it's attachment 7A, and we have Bill to speak on that.
Yeah, on Monday night, we had an education system, session for the board about this, about the Education, Act 73 and the education reform work. We had a good learning there about what's actually in the bill and some of the things that are going on. I would wanna say to the board, since Monday, a bunch of things have come out, actually, and that's what I put some of them right into your packet, literally, what was like 2 hours ago, Aaron? We said we need to insert a couple things, so they literally just came out this afternoon. So a couple things to let you know about, and I emailed the board yesterday, I believe, in the School Boards Association weekly update, which you all get. They pointed to a resource that they made a page on their website that talks about what the redistricting and the voting wards, 2 subcommittees have been established and what they're doing, and it's really a nice summary of what's happening. The second thing that's happening is the VSBA has been asked through their last meeting of the redistricting task force to start collecting information from boards. And so literally this afternoon, and this memo went in the last minute, was sent to chairs of boards and asked to submit information to the regional task force, and in 2 different ways. They're looking for information to be submitted by September 30th about where our individual boards and their position on the redistricting task force and what might they like to see. A second way they've done that, and Nilda, you got these emails today, and we didn't get a chance to talk because they literally came in I think it was around 3, at least that's when I saw it. And the second one was a survey that was sent to all school board members, asking that by October 6th, and our next meeting is after October 6th, our next scheduled meeting, I should say, asking each district, have you discussed the redistrict? I'm just gonna go right through the questions, Nilda. I think it's a good thing for everyone to hear. Have you discussed the Act 73? What information, insights, and details of those conversations included? Has your board taken or do you plan to take a formal positioning on redistricting? And if yes, there's some sub-questions. How does the current structure of your supervisory union school district improve student outcomes for all students pre-K through 12? What are the strengths of your current district or system? What are the challenges or weaknesses of your current system? What opportunities do you see as a member of a bigger district? What resources, support, and policy changes would you need to seize those opportunities? What risks? What are other districts that you believe you would make good partners for consolidation? And additional comments. So just from going from our last meeting to our educational session to now, literally in the past 48 hours has been a real push to gather information for boards in a pretty tight timeline. And the last time we talked about this, the board, we talked about a position, does the board want to do that, in our last meeting, and you were all, I took from it, Nilda, help me here, it seemed like there wasn't really a position yet, we wanted to wait to see.
We wanted to wait to see what else is going on, so we didn't have a real position. At least when I pulled the board, that's what I got for an impression. And I don't know if that's changed since then. It was 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of information that comes out, but I don't know if there's anything definitive. You showed us those maps, those interactive maps that you can play with and redistrict the area, etc. But I don't know if that I don't think that necessarily helps me understand how I'm going to get value out of adding this school district versus that school district, whatever. So I think I'm still at the position where I don't have an opinion yet.
And Nilda, I don't know if you want to speak to some of the contact you've been receiving from other places.
So I have stuff here. So it's the redistricting task force is trying to get partnerships. So I've heard from Megan Cooley, who's the vice chair of the MVU board, and also Rich Monterosso, chair of the South Hero School Board, and he copied Rennick, who I spoke about 2 weeks ago, and Bob Shuttler from GISU Board, and Michael Inners and Whitney Maxim. So they're kind of all around the Grand Isle MVU area, trying to drum up some drum up some opinions, I guess, to see if anybody wants to line up with them or meet with them to discuss a position.
And the other thing that's been happening, that I think I talked about at the last board meeting, but I just want to, that there's been the folks, school districts that are members of the Rural Education Alliance have been taking positions, and then some that aren't have been taking positions as well. There's a big debate amongst that was in this law that came part of it at the last minute when it was being in conference committee about supervisory unions versus school districts. And in my professional opinion, from working in supervisory unions and now working in a school district, the efficiencies that are found in a school district are just incredible, and we're able to provide more services, and I think we show that here in Maple Run. But I'm not saying that's...
I have a question. If we do nothing, can the Maple Run School District be forced into a group with others until we get the required number by the Act 73?
Act 73. So actually, what they're doing is seeking public opinion, but everyone will be forced in the state of Vermont. So I don't want to say that people have choice to go form their own, and that's part of what is the confusion that's happening with this, is people are starting to think that they can form their own. And that's not what the law says. The law is very clear. The legislature gets to determine what the mergers are.
But you can impact, right? You can provide.
I don't even. You can provide your opinion to the redistricting task force. That doesn't mean that they're going to follow it or they want to follow it. And remember, they have to provide 3 maps to the legislature, and the legislature either can follow those recommendations or draw up their own. But it gives the legislators have the power to develop the mergers. So if we're going to use the word forced, as in someone else decides besides either the voters, the electorates, or the school boards of that region, everyone's going to be forced. Because that's where the authority lies. And that's one of the narratives that's going on is, oh, we can figure this out ourselves. That's not what the law says. I'm not, there's no judgment on my part about the first part of whether mergers should be done by willingness or not. It's the current law we're in, and that's the difference between Act 46 that many of us went through and what we're in right now with Act 73, is that this is going to be forced from the legislature. Some people will like it, some people probably won't. And so I think that's part of the polling for opinions. I just want to make, I'm doing that, Milda, more for the record here, since we're in a public forum of like, just want to make sure we're straight about the law.
Right. No, I understand. I'm still trying to, from what you just said, I'm not sure there's a pro necessarily for having an opinion as a group and sharing that opinion forward.
My only not even a recommendation, but my professional opinion is that, and I think I said this to this board last meeting, was if this board was in favor of school districts over supervisory unions, because the law calls for maps of both type, the board should stay where they're at. If you,
Right.
because that is gonna be a piece that's part of this.
Yeah.
And that is an option that's within there. If the board wanted to go out and talk with people, that's happening. So you could do that. There are some districts that are remaining silent, from what I know. I mean, I just look at the comment page that's on the regional task force list that I showed you Monday night, and you can see they have all the letters up there from the districts that have sent them in. And I think there's probably more districts that have remained silent to this point. Doesn't mean they aren't gonna say something, than to the ones who have. But I haven't literally gone down with a marking off. You know, we have 119 districts in Vermont within 53 supervisory union school districts. I haven't gone to do the tally.
Right. Okay. Any questions for Bill?
No
Are we at the, oh, go ahead, Charlie.
Not a question for Bill, but just a general comment in terms of other boards contacting us. I don't know what form it would take, but I would be interested if we could get some sort of dialogue with other boards in some way, just to get a feel for how get kind of a temperature check for Franklin County and listen to other opinions that haven't been discussed in this room. I don't know how we would do that or what necessarily the proposals are. Like, I'm not saying that we should enter into a joint statement or anything like that, but I'd be interested in hearing where those folks reaching out to us are at with this.
I think that's a good idea.
Can I say something to that? The folks in the islands are very nervous, more so than we are. I mean, we have a pretty standard school district, and the school sizes kind of fit what the task force is looking at, or what they've been talking about in terms of, we have some, we're all, at least I am, worried about what's going to eventually happen, but not as much as like Michael Winters, who's also in the School Board Association, and so I hear from him at those meetings. He is very nervous about where their school's going to be connected to. So that's probably why they're reaching out. But I think we could have a Zoom meeting, so we wouldn't have to drive very far, but we could, if you would want, I can reach out to Michael over in the islands and maybe set up some kind of a Zoom meeting so we could just hear concerns and share, and I think our one big point that we could make, as Bill was saying, that we would want to keep a school district rather than a supervisory union, that kind of thing. But
thank you. I'm not sure if that's maybe premature at this point, because
let me know, if it is something you would want to do.
yeah. These people, from reading this stuff that they're sending, they're flailing. I mean, they're looking at that comment board that Bill just referred to and reading what someone wrote for comment and then responding to that person to try to understand why they made that comment. Do you get what I'm saying? So they're using that comment board as a conversation starter with, I think, am I wrong, Bill? I mean, I think it's a conversation starter with whomever they contact to see where they're at, because everybody's kind of not knowing where they're at, except for those that definitively knew where they wanted to be.
I think it's I agree with Jack. It's a reach out to see what can possibly put together. Missisquoi Valley reached out to us as well, to all the districts in Franklin County, and I will tell you from my past and some of the things I went through in Act 46, I will I will support a meeting if the board so chooses, but I'm not gonna facilitate one as the superintendent. Because if the board has a direction or wants me to do it, I'd be glad to do it. And I'm not, and it's not, don't take it as I'm doing it by objection, but I think the board has to take a stance. And I don't think it's bad, I don't really have any opinion whether you take a stance or not. I'm here to serve you as a board and to do what the board's will is. And so, some boards are feeling like it's just back to the Act 46 days of, hey, wait a minute, are we gonna lose control? And what's gonna happen? There's a lot of fear of school closure for schools that are under certain sizes.
So, Bill, what I just heard you say, I think was contradictory to yourself. I heard you say, I think we should take a stand.
No, I didn't say we should take a stand. I said, well, I said on the school district piece, that's the one place. If you are strong about a school district, then you should take a stand on that.
Okay, because the other stuff, as you then went on to say, you didn't care one way or another, but I just don't think that there's any value to it. And I think it would be a free-for-all to have all these board people sitting around a major Zoom meeting trying to discuss something that there's so many different levels of understanding from us and from the chairs of those other boards. I don't know. I mean, I think it's premature. I'll go with the will of the board. What is the will of the board?
Well, we had a couple more comments.
Yeah, I think it would be nice. I live in a supervisory union, and like the collaboration in a school that like here is so much more than the collaboration in a supervisory union. And like I live in a supervisory union that includes Georgia and Fletcher. And like that supervisory union doesn't get anybody from Georgia. We get so like a school district is, I think, so much more successful in offering services and things. And I think that as a board, like kind of like, I don't think it matters what the opinion is, like if you want to make an opinion or not, but I think the opinion should be in support of school districts for this. They're just more effective. A supervisory union, I don't think necessarily gets at the bottom of what Act 73 is trying to do. I think it kind of will perpetuate what's already happening. And I think a school district is a more effective way at lowering costs and maximizing student happiness and success and everything.
Thank you.
Joanna, did you have?
Well, I just, it's asking us to fill out this survey. Is there a plan as to how that would be done? Because it's supposed to be one per school district or SU. 'Cause
Right.
My question would be, to the board, would people be able to answer all of these questions on their own? Would you feel like you'd have an answer, a ready-made answer?
Well, I looked at it because they sent out a separate email with just the questions. I don't know if you guys all got that.
We put that in the packet.
It's in the packet.
We put it in the packet.
Okay, so if you look at that, I don't think they were hard questions. I think some of them require a little thought, but it's not like a trick thing. It's just basically a survey trying to figure out where we're at.
So, Nilda, let's remember that you've been on the school board for how long?
Too long.
Okay. And there are people who are brand new. And what I'm saying to you is that I wonder whether or not people feel like they have enough information and enough confidence to answer all of these questions thoughtfully, right? Not just peripherally, surfacely. So my question also was, do we have a plan or can we create a plan to answer these questions together? Because whatever conversation we enter, I think that we should all, number one, be on the same page, and we should all have an understanding, a shared understanding of where we are.
Yep. I totally agree. We should, but we don't have a plan, but we could come up with a plan. And it has to be submitted by the end of September, right? That-
October.
October 6th.
October 6th. So we do have an opportunity to get it on one more agenda to do it.
Nope.
No.
Do we not have a
No,
board
we
meeting
don't.
on October
Okay.
6th?
No, it's Yom Kippur.
And we changed it?
We changed it because of Yom
Yeah,
Kippur.
yeah.
Sorry.
Say that again?
Joanna, please, don't say that. Please.
Totally kidding.
I know, but please.
We were supposed to have a board meeting prior to the due date, but there's a holiday so we ended up changing it, and that's what the discussion was about.
Right.
But I think, well, so first of all, I would say if the board so choose, you could say, hey, we want to have a time to talk about this, and this is our agenda item, and we could do, people could do a little homework, we could have, we did some education there, you could look at the resources, you could ask me for whatever you want, we could try to gather it, and, you could have a time to come in and say, let's go down through the questions and see what we understand and what we don't understand, and what do we have a collective statement.
How early on do we need to set up a special board meeting to do something like that? Like, what's the time frame?
24 hours.
24 hours, okay. So
So
there's like 2
Can we
weeks.
set up an educational session and
Well-
review it?
No, I'd say you need to do this in a board meeting, because you're gonna be discussing, you're not gonna be learning. You may be learning, but at the same time, you're gonna be discussing and probably coming to a position as a board, so
Okay.
I believe you
Okay.
need to be in a board meeting.
Okay, we should be open, yeah.
It needs to be open to the
Okay.
public. I would suggest that any of this work that you're doing, when you're discussing or talking about Act 73, I'd really advise the board heavily to do that in a public meeting.
So if we wanna do this, we do have to set up another meeting, correct?
Yeah.
And we have all next week
Yeah, and all the week after.
and all the week after to do it. So are folks okay with setting up a meeting in that time frame to look at this survey and keep it focused on this survey and the answers to the survey and, obviously any information that we need to gather to respond to the survey appropriately if we don't know it? And could it be, next Wednesday or October 1st?
Well, it can't be October 1st, because
It's a holiday.
Because of,
Yom Kippur.
It's a holiday.
oh, yes, excuse me. So I guess next Wednesday?
Could we do like a Monday? Both weeks have Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
Maybe a Monday, 22nd or 29th. Because then we.
I would ask the 29th, just so we have a little bit of time, if there's something to gather, we can go get it for you. Because that'd be the next one, is I would suggest we take some time and go down through these, and is there anything someone needs?
Yeah.
So we could, even if you say, I don't know exactly what I need, but I need some more information to be able to answer this.
Okay, so 29 works for me. Does it work for everyone else in the room?
Yes.
Speak up if it does not.
Is there,
What time are you thinking? Same time, 6?
6 o'clock seems to work for people's lives. Unless I'm wrong on that. Okay, let's go for Monday the 29th at 6 p.m.
at central office?
At central office is great. And if everyone could look at that sheet with questions on it and think about if you know the answer or you need some information to provide an answer, and send it in to, I guess, Bill and I, so that we can try to put it together.
So we're saying 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get you an invite.
Yeah.
Just like
Yes,
we do for
please.
these. I'm getting the head nod from the person that does it.
Well, thank you all for that. I'm really glad that you're all interested in working through this, so that's great.
Did you have your hand up a bit? Susie, did you have your hand up a bit ago?
Yeah. Jack does. So I want to clarify something. The reason I thought it'd be wise to listen to people from other districts is not to make a statement or something definite, but they're going to be our brothers and sisters. I mean, they're close by. It would be logical that we don't know the final thing, but wouldn't it make sense that Mrs. Coy and us might be together? I would like to hear their concerns. You know, not that it would mean we would come out with some statement or we would do anything, just we're kind of in this nervousness together. And to me, it'd be wise, because they might have a concern that we didn't think about, you know, or just as we're going through this, now maybe that's stupid, and I will, you know, but I think it'd be smart, but maybe I'm crazy, so.
Okay,
It's
Nicola, you have something?
So Jasper, I think it is important for us to meet with them, but I think going through the survey will help us find a position of ourselves. So walking into the meeting, we'll know where all of the board stands, and so when we have a conversation with the other board, we already have the foundation set prior to having that conversation with them. Our position may change at that point, but knowing that we are all similar on the same page, so it doesn't end up being a free-for-all where everybody's talking, we have one kind of set idea going in, and then we can change it. Our idea set doesn't mean it's gonna be set forever.
And we don't want to commit it like four different
yeah,
opinions from our own board either,
That
right?
sounds logical and smart, so let's say, I think it'd be a good idea at some point to listen to the others, but it doesn't have to be next week
I don't think
or
we're
whatever.
anybody's saying no to that. I
Yeah.
think we're just trying to get this
Yeah,
survey
I
done,
got you.
see where we're at, and then maybe moving forward on that.
Right. Joanna, one sec.
Sure.
Just
Go for it.
remember that 2 weeks ago, I shared the letter from MVU asking us if we wanted to meet with them to come up with where we were at, because they didn't know where they were at. So it's been 2 weeks for them, 2 weeks for us, and maybe they've come up with something, but I just wanted to caution you about that piece. Go ahead, Joanna.
I was just wondering if maybe this could be an opportunity to reach out to our local legislators and senators and see if maybe they want to host something for Franklin and maybe even Grand Isle County, where we could all come together and, you know, talk about it in a forum and voice concerns, ideas, whatever it is, and then everybody could be there. Instead of it just being like, ooh, hey, you want to go out with me? You know, like just like seeking out one school in particular. You know, I mean, we should really be thinking about if we're gonna do this properly. We should be thinking about what do we have in common? What do we not have in common? Like, what are the CIPs? What PD? Like, where is this school at? Where are we at? You know, do they do, you know, PLCs? Do we do I mean, we should be really thinking about. What current structures schools are participating in, because otherwise then you get together based on numbers, but maybe you don't even share the same goals or structures, so.
Right.
Yeah, anyway.
I do like the idea of having legislators present, because all our opinions
They're gonna be
are
making the
important,
decisions anyway.
but they're the ones that need to be the ones making the final call at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, Joanna, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And just as you said before about the survey, it's like the process. And Nikuma, as you were saying, well, let's use this process to get to where we are as a board, then figure out like, okay, how do we bring the legislators into that? Marianne at the last meeting was like, can we have them in here before they start the session? And I think it'd be really smart. I mean, this board could sponsor that.
Yeah.
And just say, we want
invite everybody.
We want everyone here like November 1st or something like that.
Yeah.
And St. Albans
sounds
would
good.
be, you know,
Centralized spot.
a centralized spot for the islands to come and for, you know, Enosburg,
You
Richford.
could think about that.
Yeah. Maybe that's how we could take a stand, would just be to say, let's all come together and talk
To
about it,
facilitate.
you know, to
I mean,
facilitate.
Honestly, if the legislators actually showed some more engagement with the community, it would do a lot to help my own nerves, because one of my biggest issues is that they seem intent on doing their own thing without paying attention to what the community wants or what the data is. So if we could actually get them to talk about it a bit, that would probably maybe remove a little bit of the pit from my stomach. I don't know.
Well, I think everybody's under pressure, right, from their
Yeah.
bosses
Yeah.
to reach a decision, but, I mean, I don't know, we had I really enjoyed the day that we were at NCTC, and some of the local legislators came. I
Yeah.
thought they were very receptive and
Yeah.
willing to listen.
Okay. So it looks like we have a plan. First plan is a meeting the 29th. And the second plan is to invite the legislators and to a date yet to be determined.
Yep, that's what I heard. In other districts, possibly.
Okay.
And I hate to
So-
admit this, but Joanna's plan is much better than what I was.
Nice job, Jack. I'll take that as a compliment.
It was meant to be a compliment.
I know, just messing with you.
Are we ready to move on, or is there anything else we'd like to bring up related to this? I'm sure that, I know there's plenty, but anything more we need to discuss tonight?
Yep.
Okay, so going to go on to new business. And somebody need me?
No.
Okay. It's objectives, key results, and success measures. And Megan's going to review that. And after she reviews it with us, we're going to come up with a motion and determine whether or not we approve that as presented. So I'm going to turn this over to Megan to review that. So a little bit different than get the motion on board and then talk about it. Let's just get the info, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Megan, you're on.
Awesome, thank you. So you led in with the OKR language, and you're seeing on the screen that there's continuous improvement plan language, and we'll talk a little bit about why that is. But typically we would be talking about this in the spring. There have been some changes to the state requirements around continuous improvement planning. And so we're talking about this now, but I think our cycles will be different moving forward. So the reason that we're talking about it in continuous improvement plan language right now is that the Agency of Education, as part of its monitoring for education quality, requires all schools now, and there's a little history, that's why I made that point, all schools to have a continuous improvement plan. And that's an annual requirement now moving forward. And it is also tied to some of our grant funds. They look for our continuous improvement plan, and they look for whether the investments in our consolidated federal grant, which is Title I, Title II, and Title IV, actually are supporting the goals and change ideas in the continuous improvement plan. It measures our progress towards the education quality standards, and they're specifically looking at academic proficiency and safe and healthy schools. As well as Act 139, which is the early literacy bill, and what we're doing to ensure success for our pre-K3 students. And so for MRUSD, the OKR work that we've been doing really is the CIP work. The foundations of all of this is that you're looking at data, well, you have a vision, you have a mission, you are looking at data to look at the areas that your schools and district need to improve on, looking at all of the different aspects of the operations of a district. One of the things that's great about the OKR work, and it is connected to our strategic plan, and that it also encompasses every single educational entity in our system, where the CIPs are really just looking at our K-8 buildings or pre-K-8 buildings and our high school, which, and when we're thinking about one of the benefits of being a consolidated school district is that we also have the NCTC program, and when we look at our OKRs, everything is included, including our early childhood programs and NCTC, and so we're really all working in one direction. The CIP work is very, very, very similar. So just to show you kind of a little bit of a crosswalk of the OKRs and the CIP work, the language that we use here is O is for objectives, those are the goals for the year, K is key results, and the success measures is how we measure the key results. So CIP, they use the language of goals, strategies, and change ideas, and outcome measures, and so goals are the same as objectives, strategies and change ideas the same as key results, outcome measures the same as success measures. The only big difference with the CIP is that it needs board approval, whereas with the OKR work, as you've talked about how everything feeds from the vision, mission, strategic plan, and into the OKR work, is that typically we present what we're going to do with OKRs without formal approval needed, as a way of showing how we are working towards the strategic plan goals. But with the CIP, for each one of our schools, we do need board approval. However, the work that you're going to see in the CIP is directly, it is the OKR work. We're just taking language and reformatting it into the requirement from the from the agency for the CIPs. One other note about CIPs is that this is probably version 6 or 7 since I've been in Vermont education. We've had this push for a one plan where there's one plan at the SUSD and the schools don't have to have school level plans because the idea was that the one plan was good for all. Then when the pandemic hit, we had the recovery plan, which was really that improvement plan of how do we come back and come back strong with our students, which is where the OKRs came from. And now they're getting to school level CIPs or continuous improvement plans to help that connection with both education quality and the federal programs. So what I'm going to be presenting moving forward is a little bit of a, here's the OKR, here's the goal that will be translated into the school CIPs, and some examples of how kind of the big buckets of the work that we're going to do can be translated into a local context. So our OKR 1 is build a supportive school culture of high expectations for behavior, engagement, and academics. And so to turn that into CIP language, that goal might look like, or would look like, increased student engagement as measured by 70% of students with 9 or fewer absences and 80% plus rating on social emotional screener by building a supportive school culture of high expectations. So it kind of mashes all of our things together to say this is what we're intending to do, this is how we're measuring it, and this is ultimately how it's going to impact students. So upon approval from the board, this would be the CIP goal that would be across all of our schools, since all of our schools are working on these OKRs and working on those success measures that we reviewed earlier. Oops. So some of the big buckets, the key results or our change ideas, our strategies for change, are these ones up here. And you've heard a lot about our RP implementations, MTSS, and we'll talk more about it as we go through the school year, supporting students meeting grade level expectations, and we've started talking about high reliability schools data to make sure that we have safe, supportive, and collaborative cultures in our schools. So these are the big buckets of work that every single one of our educational programs is working towards. Some examples of what that looks like at a school-specific level, because we want these conditions to exist across all of our schools. We want our schools to all hit those metrics, but it might look a little bit different how they implement it in their context. So a great example of this is that St. Albans City School is implementing PBIS, which is Positive Behavioral Supports and Interventions, and they will now be in line with the other pre-K-8 schools, and so the work of just beginning to implement it looks different than the work of Fairfield, where you saw that SEL video where they're connecting that. And then BFA implementing the cell phone policy, you hear that a lot, but that's all of that is part of that safe and healthy schools aspect. For OKR 2, building a guaranteed and viable curriculum with a concentrated focus on literacy and math, this hits 2 of the areas that they're looking for in our CIP. And so our goals for our schools, for academic proficiency specifically, would be that 50% of our students pre-K through 12 will be proficient on local and state measures in ELA and mathematics. Again, as we looked at the presentation earlier, this is the same thing that we have been measuring, just written in CIP goal language. And then one of the requirements that came out of Act 139, which is a K-3 literacy goal, is specifically that 50% of our K-3 students will be proficient in phonological awareness and reading fluency, as those were two of the 5 areas that are specifically called out in Act 139, where we're farthest from 50%. So those would be the proposed academic proficiency and K through 3 literacy goals for OKR2. Oops. These are some of the big key results and change ideas that you've heard about and that we're implementing across all of our school campuses. Again, kind of addressing these in school-specific ways. Some schools are in different places. So expanding curriculum committees to support all content areas. We've been working on guidelines for protected time on learning, making sure that students have access to high quality instruction for the right amount of time so that they can grow and reach proficiency. We've talked about professional learning communities, or you've heard about them, which are a really big driver of educational improvement and student achievement. And then to continue to work on deepening our implementation of effective instructional practices such as universal design for learning and making sure that professional learning is there. And, I realize that there is an acronym up there of GVC, which stands for Guaranteed and Viable Curriculum. And so making sure that we're bringing together some of our initiatives to make sure that in every school, if a second grade student is in a literacy classroom, that they are being exposed to the same knowledge, skills, and access points that everybody else is. So a couple of school-specific examples is that SATEC is really focused on protected time this year, and that might not be the priority of another K-8 school. Fairfield is implementing a collaboration protocol really focused on universal design for learning practices and embedding that in their classroom. So as we look at these key results and change ideas, everybody's working towards these. We're monitoring them as leadership teams at the district level and local levels, and schools are doing the work that they need to do to continue to hit those metrics or exceed those metrics that we've been setting. Though you know that there is a third OKR, that one's a little bit more operational, and that's not really the scope of the CIP, so I don't have any crosswalk there or any goal specific to OKR 3. But at this point, I would love to entertain any questions, or if you feel good about those goals, then we can say yay and move on.
Any questions related? Well, let me take a motion first. Can I have a motion to approve the objectives, key results, and success measures as presented by Megan today?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Okay.
Just one quick question. Is there a minimum amount of CIPs we need to be working on, or is it like, does they have to have 5, or, because if someone had 2, yeah. Is the state giving us a mandated amount kind of thing?
Yes, and thank you for that, because I meant that for that to be one of my talking points. They require a safe and healthy schools goal, and that's really our OK1 is our safe and healthy schools goal. They require an academic proficiency goal, and we have that ELA and math one, and then they require one around Act 139, which is the early literacy bill. So we have hit those, and they really don't want you doing, the recommendation is never to do more than 5. And so I think that's pretty representative of the work that we're doing, and that's enough.
It's nice knowing that what we were doing was already aligned and just having to transfer over instead of having to find a new like course to go on.
Absolutely. I think
So,
one of the things that we're constantly doing when we have something like a CIP requirement is looking within our context and saying, where are we already doing this, or where have we already articulated this? And then, Bill or myself can translate it into AOEEs, so that we can make sure that we're meeting the requirements that are set forth and making sure that the work is live in our schools.
Thank you. Ready to vote?
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
So in terms of, the goals that you have set, do you have the staffing and trying to think what other area? I guess I'll stick with staffing. Do you have the staffing necessary to be able to meet those goals?
Yeah, so I think that, and Bill, jump in here as well. I think that when we're going into budget season and we're talking about what it is we're hoping to accomplish, like this is informing that. Where right now, for the things that we're trying to accomplish, I think you've heard about including or introducing an SEL coach, and we've been looking at making sure we have interventionists. I think that there are some places that we could still have some improved staffing. I'm a little bit spitballing because I'm 3 months into the job. So Bill, if you wanna help me out here, that would be great.
So, well, I mean, that's one of the things we talked about last year is we look at our staffing models that we have across Maple Run. One of the things we know is that from national best practice, an interventionist should be holding a caseload of 40 students at any one time. And that's because they should be working in small groups and they should have 5 to 6 sections a day. When we look at instructional coaches to give embedded PD and what type of coaching sessions, and we know there should be about 1 to every 20. We're not even close to that. We're well overstaffed. We're well understaffed. The ratios are a lot larger, but that's what our budget can afford. So that's the conundrum that we all sit here is when we do budgets, is what's the level the community can afford with what we have. When I look at class sizes, we're meeting what board set in policy, and our policy is very generous compared to national, and then what the state, what the legislature put into Act 73 is a little below what we have. I think that we're in a good place. We may want to adjust what staff are doing. I think that's better. That's the better question, not the number, but what are they doing? And I think what we're seeing for literacy and math right now, this district is growing faster than anything I've ever been a part of in my career. So it's hard for me to say
with the new curriculum.
Well, the new curriculum, the work, the PD. I mean, Bree and I were having this discussion the other day. We were working on some budget things, and my theory of action is that our PD is what's driving the good work the staff are doing, because staff have said, and I mean, I'd have Kelsey or Stacy or Stephanie. They've been part of this, but that PD is driving staff, and we heard some of that earlier, so that they can be more effective in the classroom. And it's giving them the resources. That driving is probably the wrong word, but giving them the resources and the tools to be able to do that. I don't know if any of my colleagues would want to add to that.
I mean, they're definitely getting, I would just say that the RP work has helped incredibly, but also what has supported our work is also the MTSS growth that we have made as a district, where we're identifying these students, we're honing in on data, and we're responding to that. So we're being more proactive rather than reactive. And so that's really been incredible to see that these students are accessing the support that they need, either staying on or getting off.
Yep.
And our classroom teachers are doing a wonderful job in stepping up and providing those interventions as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions, folks? You ready to take a vote? We have to take a roll call vote. Amanda?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
Nakuma?
Yes.
Susie?
Yes.
Nilda votes yes. Motion carries. Next item is new business B, and it is an action item. So you need a motion. This is something that, just for intro, that Jack has done in the past, and I apologize. I was going to get to Jack and ask him if he was interested still, but I didn't get to that today. So we'll have to see how it plays out. So I need a motion to appoint. Was that? I'm sorry.
So I was saying I'm willing to do that if the board,
And you're attending anyway, right? That meeting?
I think it's on October 30th. Yeah, yes.
Okay. So in the past, we've had a designee go to these, the VISBA annual meeting and the VHI annual meeting. These are both associated with health initiatives and insurance. So, and that's about as far as I can give you for information on that right now. But I need a motion to appoint Jack McCarthy as MRUSD's authorized representative to appear and vote on its behalf at any and all meetings of the members of the Vermont School Board Insurance Trust or any adjournment thereof, period. Can I have a motion for that, please?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, can I have a second?
I'll second it, come on.
Thank you. Discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. And we have Amanda,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Joanna,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Nakuma,
Yes.
Susie,
Yes.
Yilda votes yes. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Jack, for volunteering for this. Next item is 8C. This is for the VHI annual meeting designation. So I would like a motion to appoint Jack McCarthy as MRUSD's authorized person to appear and vote on its behalf at any and all meetings of the members of the Vermont Education Health Initiative and any other adjournment thereof. Motion, please.
I'll make the motion to come on.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Joanna,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Nakuma,
Yes.
Susie,
Yes.
and Nilda votes yes. Again, thank you, Jack, for volunteering. Next item on the agenda is 8D, understanding MRUSD's FY26 budget and drivers. And you have that in your packet as a pretty big attachment. And it's my understanding that Brianna and perhaps Bill will be reviewing this, presenting this to us.
Well, so at the last meeting, we did some of this and we put this in your packet. So I really brought this forward if there were questions about the budget drivers. I was hoping to have an updated document that I said would coming at the last meeting, but that still hasn't happened.
Okay.
We're together with VASBO and BSA. We'll have an updated document to bring to you. But I wanted to keep this on here. Nilda, when you and I talked, one of the things I was thinking about was just to see if there were any questions from the board or data at this point. There's plenty of time in the budget timeline, and that Bree's going to go
Right.
on the next item on the agenda to what resources does the board need? There's obviously, you'll see some of that in the timeline.
Yeah, I guess I got my wires crossed in our discussion because when I reviewed, I'd seen all this stuff before.
Yeah.
And hopefully everyone else has too.
Yeah.
So no action unless anyone has any questions. Hearing none. Sorry, I put you on the spot there, Bree. Next item is budget timeline attachment 8F. I think this might be a Bree thing, or no?
It is.
Okay.
Thank you. Attachment 8F is actually the wrong attachment on there. Sorry about that. It's supposed to go for, yeah, the budget timeline doesn't have an attachment. We are just bringing this to you. It is on the collaborative work site under the board calendar of reports and topics. That's our board, or budget timeline, where you will see throughout the, now through March, where we will be talking about the MRUSD budget, and when it's going to be occurring. A few things that we want to point out. Next week, Bill and I are going to the VSA VASBO collaborative work session, where we will hopefully be able to bring back a lot more great budgeting strategies for FY27. We will be bringing to you the staffing guidelines and targets and reviewing the class sizes again, as well as presenting the financial report. In November, we will be looking to, or I'll be looking to provide the first draft of the budget and getting guidelines and recommendations for what the budget will look like for FY27. Things that we will also be chatting about is different scenarios that we might need to make for federal funding in case the federal funding gets cut. This year it was a little bit of a scary situation where they were looking to cut the federal funding, and then thankfully they gave us back the funds. So that's something that we need to keep in our back pocket this year. What the different scenarios are going to be in case something like that happens to us. And then again, bringing the recommended budget and going through the budget vote. So, yeah. Thank you. Did I miss Any anything? questions?
No, I mean, most of it's on the board plan. You'll see it there
Yeah.
with the actual meetings. You went right down through that, so.
Yeah.
I think the only thing
Any,
is
any
just,
question?
just
Or
saying
you
some,
wanna keep-
I think the only thing, Bree, that I think you highlighted, but I'm not sure, I didn't hear it from you, but was the, in November, the board usually sets what we're saying for increases for like energy and,
Yes.
you know, every year what are we thinking the allowable increases before we go. We bring you the best estimates we can have, but having the board take a look at that. And we've done that the past couple of years, and that's been really helpful.
Yep, and I've already started looking into it. The only thing that's really unknown is the natural gas prices, and what that's going to come at. With looking at it just recently, the other day, it was looking like a 23% increase over last year. So I'm hopeful that it doesn't come out that crazy, but more to come.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Is that normal, is that type of, do you remember off the top of your head what the increase was last time?
I think it was 5% last year.
We imported in
From
another country,
Canada.
Canada.
Oh,
coming
okay,
from
okay,
Montreal.
say no
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where it's coming from.
Yes.
Why the increase is there.
Right.
Hopefully not, but.
Right. Yeah. And everyone just needs to bundle up. That's all.
Yeah. Stay awake.
Fairfield will be fine. They don't run on natural, this is the only building that doesn't run on natural gas, so.
Right.
We'll all just come here.
What's that?
We'll all just come here.
Yeah, exactly.
The smallest building will host everybody.
Okay, you ready to move on?
Next item is professional staff negotiations. There's a typo in the way this motion is carried out here, so I will read it correctly. We need a motion for authorization to send a letter of intent to open professional staff negotiations to the association. Can I have a motion? I made that motion and I need a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? This is standard practice. To send this out, just to say we're ready to start talking. So if there's any questions? I'm not hearing it. Oh, Nakuma.
We say start talking. I know we just finalized our negotiations in May. would we be reopening it, or are we waiting for that to go to the next 3 years?
So this is for the professional staff.
Okay.
The
Okay,
one you
forgive-
finished in May was the support staff.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, ready to vote? Amanda,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes. Yes, sir.
Nakuma,
Yes.
Susie,
Yes.
Nilda votes yes.
You skipped me.
We gotta get Carly too.
Oh, Carly, sorry, yep, I skipped you.
Yes.
Carly, thank you.
Yes.
All right, next item is, we need to establish a committee for these negotiations. And the way we've done it in the past is kind of voluntary. It's always good to have a seasoned person or two, and then a newbie or two, just so we can carry on the learning opportunities of all of this. If anyone is interested in serving in this capacity, could you get back to me, please? Like maybe by that beginning, by Monday of next week, please. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nilda, you and I talked about taking action at the next board meeting when we were prepping for this, that you were hoping to
Take an action, naming the committee, you mean?
name the committee on October 8th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we get it by the middle or next
Yeah, you'll
week.
be fine with what you're doing, but I just wanted to have everyone else know the conversation that you and Charlie and I had, that
Gotcha.
I'm hoping that we would have a committee by the next meeting.
Yeah.
So start doing work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just so you guys know, Charlie and I both said that we would do it, we could do it, but we want to encourage people to volunteer to do it so there can be an opportunity for everyone to get the learning, and we could step back if we needed to. All right, moving on, other business. We have the warrants. I'm making a motion to approve the warrants, acknowledging that passage of this motion will act as authorization and signature of any individual board members participating remotely. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion regarding the warrants? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Joanna,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Nakuma,
Yes.
Susie,
Yes.
Nilda votes yes. Warrants are approved. Next item is the superintendent report.
Thank you, Nilda. I kind of want to outline a little bit of what I'm going to report and say that some great things to celebrate. We have some work as a board that we need to do to meet out some work for AOE. And then I have plea may be the wrong word. I can't think of the right word, but an ask for help. Because we need to figure out something, and I've got an idea of how to do it, and I wanted to ask the board for your advice. And so, some of the great celebrations, I was saying to Suzanne before people were arriving, I had a great day to NCTC. Leanne Wright, it's been very public, so I don't think I have any problem sharing this, she's a grandmother as of this past weekend, and she had planned to take 2 weeks and be a great grandmother and support her daughter. And so with that, when Lisa needs to be out for either state meetings or other things, we're subbing in. And so I had the joy today to be in NCTC all morning, which made my day. My day's been awesome because I spent, and then I got right up here. Kelsey and I were meeting, and I got up here a little early and was able to be in the middle school. And it was just fascinating And then I ended, and I said this to Kels as we were leaving, I ended my day with kindergartners, that meeting here. So I'm like, I had from kindergartners to seniors, all within about 4 hours, and it was like, yeah, this is what the system's about. And it's just amazing to start. I said this at the last meeting, but something's going right. I wish I knew exactly what it was, but something's going right because it's just really positive out there and in the schools, and the kids are doing good work. And when I walk, from walking into construction trades and having them work on, they were working on getting ready for their OSHA safety assessment, to walking into culinary and Chef Paul saying, Bill, hey, jump right in here with us. And I'm like, oh, I made zucchini bread this weekend, so we can talk about zucchini bread. Because that's what the kids were making. So to seeing the 7th and 8th graders doing some great work here and just in math and literacy, and the kindergartners just like, I don't know when I've seen the second or third week of them, and just how ready they were already into their routines. And it was simple things like walking down the hall or getting ready to go into lunch, but just having that and that automaticity that the teachers and the climate they build to do that is just amazing. So that just real pride in my part of the school system and how hard our colleagues are working with kids and making that positive place. So it's just it's still going really, really well. And people sometimes tell me don't say that too loudly, but I want to champion that from the mountaintop. I want to remind everybody that we kind of got to it a little earlier, but our next board meeting is October 8th. We had moved it from the 1st to the 8th, so we'll be at central office, but now we have the 29th as well. A bit of good news, if you saw your VSBA weekly reminder, they're sharing the boards that were nominated for the VSBA award, and we were the board this week. So there's a nice little write-up in there. I want to thank Aaron Ruchello. What?
There's a picture too.
There's a picture too. There's a picture from we had our yearbook picture last year. It's
wow.
It's all right here. So we're on that.
Wow.
All right,
Hey,
so
cool.
It was nice. It's really nice to be recognized for the hard work we're doing. And then some work that we probably need to put in the October 8th, but it may spill over to the next October meeting, which is, remember we talked last June about the changes in the education quality standards and then the addition of district quality standards. And there's a survey that's going out with rubrics. The rubrics were supposed to hit the street last week. They're now supposed to hit the street this week from the agency, where we self-assess. And some of that is the board doing self-assessment of where the district's at or where the board is at with your work. So we'll be needing to do that here in October. And I actually think that's a great thing because we've done that in the retreats a lot.
Mhm.
And it's right in alignment with some of those same surveys we've done.
Is that not something we could do same evening as the survey?
I don't want to promise, because the AOE is already 2 weeks late with the rubrics, that their rubrics will be out.
Gotcha. If it's available.
So, yeah, we'll have to see if it's available. But I think we can definitely do that in October and find some time to do it too. If I can just get them to you early, so you have some time to think. You have some think time, because it's inappropriate to hand you the rubric and say, okay, make a score right now.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a good idea for doing things. Okay. The last one, this is my ask for help and brainstorming. We already, at the beginning of the year, are having a real substitute problem. Most of our buildings have 1 or 2 substitutes, and that is it. My brainstorm from this week, and I've tried it out with a couple of my colleagues, is Winooski had this problem 2 years ago with bus drivers. They were just about to close their bus system. So they went out to the community and said, either you can have a bus system and people will step forward and want to help us with it and be drivers, and they got drivers, or we can shut down our bus system. Our counterpoint is each of our 3 elementary schools, this has become a place where we almost shut down in 2 different days with all 3 of our schools. We're seeing high absences on Fridays. and we're wondering why that, we don't have the data of why that is. We're trying to look for patterns and figure out what that's happening, but nevertheless, we need substitutes. And so if we're seeing this now, we will be shutting down school in the winter because of the numbers, and we can't safely operate. That means possibly going into July with school. I'd like to put that out to the community and say, folks, if you can sub, we'd really like you to help us because this is what we're facing right now.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great idea. Because
And we ask you to come and help. And if you can give a day, we'll take the day.
Yeah.
If you can give us more than a day, we'll take more than a day.
Bill, if we talk to, community members, what's the rate of pay for subs?
I don't
Cause
have
that's the first thing they're gonna ask.
Right, I don't have that off the top of my head. I don't know. Do you remember what
It
that?
depends on education. and
Right, but with the
experience.
bottom tier, we're
I believe it's like between 1650 and 26.
yeah, but
an
I
hour.
think that 1650 gets us for a full day is about $110. But I'd have to do my calculations.
Yeah, I don't know per hour.
Yeah, I know that 1650 times 7 hours and that. So
Okay, well,
it's
that
around
answers the
105.
question.
I think we always talk about community engagement, and this is a great way to get the community involved because we need them. As far as education.
I think it would be great to ask Erin, not Aaron.
Yeah.
To put together something that includes some of our data, like that 143, reports to 45.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think that people are pretty freaked out because unfortunately there's a lot of bad anecdotal information out there about behavior.
Yeah.
And subs experienced it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's gonna be like a real mindset shift, to try to educate our community that it's not as scary as it once was. COVID's over. We're back. We're in a much better place, and we can. Hopefully, people will feel more supported and less concerned about coming in and doing it.
Yeah.
So sometimes like when, I'll notice when I go to Hannaford, they have a big table like this set up right in the front of the store
Yeah.
as you're walking in to try to get some employees. What if, I'm not saying to set up a table at the grocery store, but what if we had someone, maybe like Aaron or, I don't know who.
We've done, the
Just-
HR did that
Does somebody
last.
want us to have
Yeah.
do you want to sub at school? Do you want to make a difference in a child's life?
Yeah.
Talk to this person sitting
We
here.
did some of that last year with open houses, and we got a couple of people, but not as many as we had hoped. But I think there's other places to go. When you say Hannaford, that's springing to me like, well, maybe there's a different place to be.
I don't know, Bill. Groceries are pretty expensive. If you caught somebody on the right day, they might say.
Yeah, no,
I'm
no, I'm
just
saying Hannaford's
moms
might
go
be
to
a
the
good
store
place.
on Fridays around 5.
Yeah.
Set up. You might.
You might get them.
What
You might get them.
What about area businesses also? There's a lot of area
It's
businesses
true.
that do community service.
Yeah.
And so they get paid,
Yeah.
for their day to do community service.
Yeah.
I know Ben and Jerry's is one
Yeah.
company that does that. They could come and sub for the day and do a day of community service. So maybe reaching out to some of our area businesses.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And maybe some business would support it and
Right.
say, hey, if you want to go and sub for the day,
Yeah.
we'll give you the day.
Yeah. No, and you're exactly right about Ben and Jerry's. They give their employees time to go do that
Yeah.
volunteer work.
That's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
Hey, Bill,
Yeah.
what else you got?
That's my last one. I just said my last one would be that, it's you the board has said, tell us when you need help. I'm telling you, we need help. And so this little discussion, I got 3 ideas that I didn't have before sitting here. So that's great. And we are gonna, I wanted to talk with you first before Erin Russo and I were talking about the public campaign, similar to what Winooski did with the buses, and saying, she's like, I know exactly where I can get all those templates from Winooski and what they did, and saying like, listen, this is the reality of what we're looking at. So we need some help, and but with what was discussed here, there were some new ideas to add to that. So I think there's some great places to go.
Great, thank you.
I think Jacoby
And
has one.
Yeah, and I think kind of like what Joanna said, like if we show them like the data, like we're improving, like we can't improve, and you're basically wasting your tax dollars if you don't have subs in the building, because you're gonna be losing like the improvement. You're gonna be dropping the scores, and people are looking at the scores and at the behavior data, and you need to be in school to get that data and to get that data up. So I think that might be something too. Be like, do you want to keep us continuing? Do you want us? Do you want to be using your money smartly? Then if you have free time, then come sub and get paid for free time.
There's also a pretty big contingent of newly retirees who are really active. I know the hospital has like well over 100 volunteers that show up. I don't know if like reaching out to the senior center or the Rotary or the Lions Club, wherever, or churches, wherever people are gathering in that demographic.
Bill, can high school seniors sub in elementary school?
Don't think we can, but I think we gotta have the high school diploma.
Right.
I have to check on that, but I think we have to have that.
And school board members are not eligible, correct?
School board members can. I have I have to write to the secretary to ask for a waiver, and I've done that in the past. I did that for Peter when he was on the board here.
Yeah.
And he's a former teacher. It was like, great, Peter, come and sub. And he wouldn't sub in the school he taught in.
Mhm.
He said, I want to stay. I think it's a good boundary, and it was a good boundary for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, next is board announcements. Anyone? Okay, next is plan for board observations and reflections. We still have our process in place, which we'll continue with. And unless there are objections, or I can't talk. Agenda items for future meetings, we have invite the local representatives back to the board meeting. We have in December here, but it doesn't have to be December. We just have to have it work with what we discussed earlier. And we do not need an executive session tonight. So we are adjourned at 7:57 p.m.
Perfect.